So you're in devastating financial troubles and you decide to sign your life away to these death games. Congratulations, you're a desperate fucking idiot. But since you're here now, you might as well do these things that will raise your probabilities of winning each game. By the way, comment below what you guys would do in this situation. Red light, green light might be one of the easier ones to win. The first thing I would do is remain calm. And I know, that sounds obvious, but you don't want to be one of these fucking idiots that takes a goddamn bullet to the face. Secondly, I would start scooting myself towards the back of the crowd before the game even began. The main reason for this is that you do not want to forget that these people are your competitors. You do not want them fucking with you, especially from behind. Plus, with starting in the back, you get one of the biggest advantages, staying behind people. We know the sensory detectors are the doll's eyes, so staying behind somebody and out of line of sight is your biggest advantage. Now, you do not want to make this obvious that you're using them as a goddamn meat shield, especially because whatever you do to them, they could do to you. So being discreet is your best option. Thirdly, you do not need to run. It is incredibly hard to stop all that momentum generated from running in a split second. Again, you do not want to be this idiot who took a fucking bullet to the chest. Plus the fact that you can definitely cover this distance with a well-paced walk. Fourthly, you want to walk with a wide stance and your hands behind your back. The wide stance will guarantee balance while stopping, and the hands behind your back will make sure that you do not have unnecessary movements. The last thing you want is to worry about another part of your body moving during the red light. Keeping your arms behind your back will limit that. Lastly, the animatronic head turns from left to right and not right to left. This means the people on the right side will have a split extra second than opposed to the people on the left. It isn't much of a difference, but when your life's on the line, everything counts. Congratulations, you made it past the first game, but sadly I have to inform you that the second game is a little more tricky. First off, if you're in this situation where you don't know the game and you're left with these 4 shapes, you might not know what to choose. Me personally, I would always choose the triangle, because it's proven to be the strongest shape. But let's say you didn't know that. Your second best option is to observe other people and see what information you can gather. If you see groups of people gravitating towards the simpler shapes, it may be best to follow the consensus. So let's say you have your shape. The first thing you need to do is get the fuck away from the guards. There are more of you and less of them, so they're not gonna have one guard for each person. So putting distance between you and the guards are your best bet. Trust me, because if you fuck up and you crack your shape, there is still one trick you have up your sleeve that could save your life. And plus, begging won't get you nowhere. So after isolating yourself, the next thing you need to do is soften the cracker. Licking the cracker is not a bad idea, but directly spitting on it is more efficient. After that, you need to spread your saliva out, especially through the indents where you're going to cut out your shape. Repeat this process until your cracker is completely soggy. This will drastically decrease unpredictable cracks. If you have unfortunately cracked your shape, calm down, there's still one trick you have left. If your crack is at the edge of the shape, simply hold the shape by that end to cover the damages. This is not completely unreasonable to get away with, since we have seen other characters hold a shape by the end. This would simply just come down to your composure. Congratulations! You either passed with ease, or you used that last-ditch trick to fool the guards. Either way, you're here now, and you have to survive the long night ahead. Since this is not an official game, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. You want to quickly gather a decent-sized group, primarily people who want to survive rather than people who want to kill. Because the last thing you need is one of those bloodthirsty monsters watching your back with a pointy knife. Next, you want to find a corner and set a defensive perimeter, primarily with a physical barricade like the Tower of Beds. The reason why you want to be in a corner is because 1, it covers your flanks completely, so you only have to worry about what's in front of you, and 2, you eliminate any numerical disadvantages. You're basically doing what the Greeks did at the Battle of Thermopylae. By taking advantage of the tight landscape, they completely canceled the numeric advantage that the Persians had. You'd simply just be executing the same plan. Finally, you want to use longer weapons, like long poles, and you'll use them as spears to keep your distance from your opponents. Game 3, Tug of War. First, let's eliminate all misconceptions. Strength is not the only factor that determines the winner of this game. The primary 2 are actually leverage and coordination. First, before the game even begins, everyone should wrap themselves around the rope before they're even chained, with the guy in the very back wrap themselves up multiple times since they're going to be the main strength of the line. The only person that should not wrap themselves up in the rope is the front man, since they're visible to the opponent, and you do not want to give your opponent any ideas. Next, you want to lean back as far as you can and lock yourself in that position, kind of like how they did in the show. The only difference is that instead of waiting 10 seconds, you should hold that position for however long they remain pulling, because the more energy they exert now, the less they'll have later when it actually matters. Finally, when it's time, instead of having every individual pull, you should all pull at the same time on cues. Whether that be 1, 2, or heave-ho, it doesn't matter. As long as you have leverage and coordination, this is actually the easiest game to win. And since there is a misconception with Tug of War being only about strength, leverage and coordination for the opponents will be limited. If your opponents lean back and do the lock formation that you're doing, simply do what Song Woo did and take a step forward to break their formation. Congrats, you made it to game 4. But I have to regretfully inform you that this is the most devious game of them all. This is what's going to separate the real dangerous ones from the blind fools. First things first, you do not want to leave it up to chance. Playing even or odds is fucking stupid. Playing a game that requires a little more skill is smart, but there is still room for error. The best thing is to play a game that can't be influenced by luck or skill. So simply what I'm saying is, you want to play a rigged game. And luckily, I have a game just for you. Tell your opponent you want to play one game, winner takes all. You line up 20 marbles. Each opponent can choose 1, 2, or 3 marbles to take away from the line of 20. Each opponent goes back and forth, choosing their number of marbles they want to take away between 1 and 3 until there's 1 marble left. Whoever picks up the last marble is the loser. Please emphasize this to your opponent, is the loser. Those are the rules of the game. Now let's figure out how to win it. So we know 1 is the marble you do not want to be left with. And we also know that 3 is the most you can take, so 3 plus 1 is 4. But if your opponent's left with 4, then they can take 3 and you're left with the 1 and you lose. So we know the number of marbles we want to leave our opponent is 5, because no matter how much marbles they take, 1, 2, or 3, they can't go from 5 to 1. And no matter what marbles they take, we take the corresponding amount of marbles to leave them with 1. And the difference between 1 and 5 is 4. This is the arithmetic series that's going to rig the game in our favor. Now all we have to do is keep within this arithmetic series throughout the entirety of this game. 1 plus 4 is 5, 5 plus 4 is 9, 9 plus 4 is 13, and 13 plus 4 is 17. These are the magic numbers that are going to win us the game. Now, it's not crucial to go first, unless if they know the arithmetic formula, but then they would never have agreed to this game in the first place. But for this example, we're going to go first just to keep the game simple and the explanation simple. The game starts with 20 marbles, you take away 3, and you leave them with the magic number 17. Notice that your opponent cannot go to the next magic number no matter what. Even if they take away the max of 3, that leaves them with 14, you take away 1, and you leave them with the magic number 13. They take away 2, which leaves us with 11, we take away 2, and leaves us with the magic number 9. They take away 1, which leaves us with 8, we take away 3, which leaves them with the magic number 5. Now, no matter what they do, if they take 1, 2, or 3 marbles, we just take the corresponding amount to leave them with 1. As long as we stick within the arithmetic series, they cannot win this game. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, that's incredibly douchebaggy. And you would be right, viewer. This death game really emphasizes the Machiavellian side of you. Now, if you want to be honorable, you could throw your life up for chance and play evens and odds. That's your prerogative, but I do not recommend it. Need I remind you what happened to one of my favorite characters because of something pesky like honor? Game 5, the glass stepping stones, or the glass bridge game. Now, the biggest thing you want to do right off rip is to go last. And I know what you're thinking, wow, that's easy for you to say when you know the game. But if you pay attention to the previous games before, there is no reason to believe that going last is not beneficial. The only game where there was a timer was the first one, and my first advice for you was to be in the back, because there was way more advantages being in the back of the crowd than the front. So it's always best to assume that going last is the most beneficial for you. So let's say you picked a later number. Now you're at the point of the game where the earlier people are now eliminated, and now it's your turn to jump. Now, as I stated previously with the marble game, you do not want to have your life thrown up to chance. Instead, you should use the shoes at the start and throw them into the glass panel as hard as you can to decide what's tempered glass and what's regular. And let's say it doesn't shatter, maybe it cracks or makes a weird noise. Any little information is better than nothing than jumping into the panel. Now, your last option is pretty simple. Assuming that you can't walk on these metal bars, your best option is to wrap the jacket around your hands and jump through the panel. If it's fake, then catch yourself on the metal bar with your hands that's wrapped in the jacket. And after that, you can simply pull yourself up to the next panel. Again, I don't know how the judges would feel about this, so this is a desperate last attempt. Congratulations, you made it to the final game. Sadly though, this one is very straightforward. It kind of just comes down to a fight to the death. Of course, there are some things you can do to increase your chances of winning. First, you want to pick defense. Even if you don't know the game, picking defense is always more beneficial than picking offense. Offense is naturally proactive, so being on defense can get you a little bit more time to gather information to save your life. So the biggest thing you want to take advantage of on defense is the fact that offense has to be on 1 foot outside of the squid. And once they get onto the circle, they have to cross the bridge in order to be on 2 feet. You are allowed to play defense and stop him from crossing the bridge. And to simply put it, you're both armed with knives. The only difference is that your opponent's on 1 foot while you're on 2, which is an enormous advantage. If there's any point in which you're gonna win, this is the moment you want to seize. There are also self-defense tricks that can help you disarm your opponent. Simply by smacking the wrist and the back of the hand, the knife can fly out of the opponent's grip. You can also grab the wrist of the person's knife hand with your undominant one and then use your dominant hand to stab him. Either one of these tricks could save your life. If you got to this part of the video, congratulations, you must have won! You've just earned millions of dollars for straight up fucking murdering some people. Have fun living with that for the rest of your life along with your traumatic PTSD. But in all seriousness, comment below what you guys would have done differently. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. And comment below what I should do next. I'll do movies, games, anime, shows, whatever. But again, thank you for watching.